8 seconds. One person. One 2,000-pound animal. One world championship in sight. That person's career at stake. More than that, a person's life at stake. This is the sport of bull riding. Professional bull riding has become exponentially more popular over the last 20 years, growing at rates unlike any other professional sport. While I have been watching the sport since I was a child and attending the events they have when they come to Madison Square Garden every year, many people have never heard of it as a professional sport, and even those who have a lot of misconceptions about the sport. Today, I will share my knowledge of professional bull riding, more commonly known as PBR amongst the fans, with you, navigating through exactly what it is, the basics of what a typical event looks like, safety aspects and equipment, its history, and finally the animal welfare aspect of it. Professional bull riding typically takes place in a 2-day format, although some events are 3 days. On the first day, the riders compete in round 1 of competition, commonly referred to as the long round. On the second day, there is another long round, followed by a championship round, or the short go, as they call it, where the top 15 riders from the weekend get a chance to select their bull and ride again to try to win the weekend, which provides the most points towards the world championship and the most money. It takes place in a different city every weekend, and there are multiple divisions that travel independently of each other, but are all part of the PBR. For example, this past weekend, the Unleash the Beast Tour, which is the highest level of competition, was in Duluth, Georgia. The second most competitive tour, the Velocity Tour, and the Touring Pro Division, the one under that, were both on break this weekend, so neither one of them had events. The competitors in the lower divisions compete to earn points so that they can make it to the Unleash the Beast Tour, where they have a chance to win the World Championship at the end of each season, in November, and earn more money than the lower divisions. The Unleash the Beast division consists of the top 35 athletes in the world and the highest caliber of bulls. These are the basics about formatting of the sport that will make the rest easier to understand. Now for the actual competition. When many people hear the term bull riding, they think of traditional bullfighting, as in Spain, but this is not what it consists of. In professional bull riding, the rider, typically referred to as a cowboy, must ride or stay on the bull for 8 seconds in order to receive a score. The riders are randomly assigned a bull for each round, which is called the draw for each round. If the rider successfully completes his ride, he will receive a score out of 100, 50 points for the bull and 50 for the rider. Bulls are scored based on their difficulty, that is, how high they jump, how fast they spin, how hard they kick, and if they change direction, just to name a few. The rider is given a score based on how in control they remain, if they are properly balanced, handle everything that the bull does in good form, and then if they spur the bull, that is, open up their outside leg, that demonstrates complete control, in which the rider will greatly improve his score. There are 4 judges at each event, and each of the judges gives a score out of 25 for the rider and 25 for the bull. The scores are then added together and divided by 2 for the final score that goes in the books. Typically, you will see a lot of rides in the 82 to 85 range, which is around average. If a bull does not compete to the best of its ability, the rider is awarded a re-ride on a different bull if they accept, so every rider has a fair opportunity to win each round, but they can choose to keep their low score and not attempt again. A high-caliber bull with a successful rider can get scores in the high 80s, which is considered very good, and occasionally even a 90-point ride. The highest score ever recorded was a 96.5, which was recorded in 2001. While the sport can be exciting to watch, it can also be very frightening, as injuries are quite common and can be fatal. There are several pieces of equipment that the riders are required to use, some for safety and some simply to complete their task. A couple things every rider uses in order to attempt a bull is a bull rope, rosin for the bull rope, and a flank strap. The bull rope and flank strap both get tied around the bull. The rosin gets put on the bull rope since this is the rope that the riders hold on to, and rosin can provide extra grip. As far as the safety equipment goes, the first one is the riding glove. This is a protective glove that prevents the riders from getting rope burn, but it can also provide some limited protection if they get stepped on, and it allows the rider to have a good grip on their rope. It goes on the rider's riding hand, which is the hand that they hold the rope with. There are two other pieces of required equipment, both of which were unfortunately created in response to fatal injuries. The first is the protective vest. Developed by one of the founders of PBR, the vest was created in 1976 after Lane Frost, a famous bull rider, was horned in the chest, which caused internal bleeding and ultimately caused his death. The second piece of equipment is only required for riders born in or after 1994, which means that they are 26 years of age or younger, and it is a helmet. Surprisingly, this was not implemented until 2013 because many of the riders were against it. Even today, many of the older riders that are not required to choose not to wear a helmet. Some say it throws off their balance, while many others simply want to represent the cowboy culture by wearing a cowboy hat instead. Concussions occur fairly frequently amongst the riders, and the PBR began enforcing their helmet rule more strictly after one of their riders, a Canadian champion who rode here in the Unleash the Beast tour, committed suicide. In his autopsy, they found he had CTE, a brain disease caused by getting too many concussions. It led to his depression as well as many other symptoms, such as memory loss, struggle to eat and sleep, and anxiety. Even with the protective equipment, however, injuries cannot always be prevented. Just last year, one well-known bull rider died in the arena after being stepped on following his ride. Bullfighters, typically 3 of them in the arena, work to keep the cowboys safe by distracting the bull after each ride, and they do great work in saving their lives each weekend, but unfortunately can't always prevent the injuries. Injuries are extremely common in this sport. Just last weekend alone, there were 14 riders who did not attend because of injuries, 14 out of 35. That's 40% before the weekend even started. Many times, the riders compete with injuries unless they are not allowed to, as in the case of a concussion. There have been several riders this season, as there always are, that have competed with a broken hand, broken ankle, broken ribs, or stitches in their hand. Back when they started, there were even more injuries in the sport due to the lack of regulations amongst it. Bull riding has been informally around since the 16th century in Old Mexico on haciendas, but is very different now than it was then. It moved up to the U.S. through Texas in the 1850s as the Wild West became popular, and the rodeo was a huge aspect of what drew people into the culture. Later, in 1936, cowboys began to protest how they, the athletes, were being treated, since the rodeo didn't have the standardized rules that most other sports had. In response, they formed the Cowboys Turtle Association, which provided them with the structure they desired, while also increasing the popularity of the sport. This organization became the Rodeo Cowboys Association in 1945, and in 1975 it became the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association, or PRCA, which still exists today. While this included bull riding in it, it included all of the other rodeo events as well, such as bareback riding and steer wrestling and more. But in 1992, a group of bull riders believed that bull riding could be a successful sport on its own, as it was the most popular rodeo event. 20 of the bull riders from the rodeo circuit gathered in a hotel room in Scottsdale, Arizona, where the rodeo was that weekend, and they each contributed $1,000 to create Professional Bull Riders Incorporated, the PBR. Since then, it has been the fastest growing sport in the history of sports. The riders have gained more fame, and they now receive much higher prize money. Stock contractors, the ones that own the bulls, also receive higher prize money now and have regulated the business of bull breeding much more as well. Most people that watch bull riding believe that the flank strap is tied around the bull's testicles, which angers them, causing them to buck. However, this is incorrect. The flank strap, a sheep wool-lined belt, is strapped just above their back legs. It is designed to be able to be kicked off because the goal of it is to enhance the bull's bucking by making them feel something is there that they can kick off. It is typically placed by the stock contractors because they know their bulls best and know exactly where to place it and how to tie it for the safety of that bull individually as well as their best performance. The strap too tight will restrict the bull's motion, while it too loose will fall off and cause a re-ride, which the contractor does not want. What causes the bulls to buck is their genes. The bulls are bred to buck and are typically only bucked if they truly enjoy their job. Otherwise, they don't do their best, therefore don't help the rider and don't earn the stock contractor any money. Today, the PBR, as well as the other professional rodeos, have strict rules regarding the treatment around their animals, which include how they are transported to each event and where they stay, etc. Overall, the PBR is quite fascinating, but definitely not for everybody. As previously discussed, a rider gets a score out of 100 if they successfully ride a bull for 8 seconds. They use several pieces of vital equipment to do so and stay safe, and the PBR is becoming much more popular even though they haven't been around for long. The PBR values both their competitors and their animal athletes, and finally, the sport continues to grow as the stakes are raised for competitors and they add new stops around the country. Thank you.